What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dobrunsky here, and I hear you guys loud and clear. You want a very budget Blizzard magic finding sorceress build, so I decided to make today's video sort of in response to last week's video where I did what I thought was a budget 3-piece tiles Blizzard sorceress build, and you guys really kind of sounded off in the comment section below, and thank you for that. That's why I decided to make today's video. You really wanted a more budget approach and sort of some areas to target MF, so that's what today's video is going to be about. I'm going to show you guys a dirt cheap Blizzard sorceress build and suggest some specific areas to farm and sort of lay out a roadmap for gearing yourself up from scratch to making a very wealthy Blizzard sorceress. So I do hope you guys enjoy this build video slash MF routing video, I guess. Quick reminder for those that don't know though, if you guys do enjoy my YouTube content, I do stream it twice a week on Twitch. Link for my channel is of course in the description below, twitch/Dobrunsky125. Any follows over there on that platform would be very much appreciated. But guys, hope you enjoy this video. Let's jump in. So the attributes in the skill tree for this build is very similar to last week's video, so I'm just going to very briefly touch over them. So I have just enough strength to equip my gear, everything else is put into vitality, and I have pretty poor resistances. I'll show you a couple different gear options you can use to buff up your res a little bit more, but fortunately some of the areas that I'm going to demonstrate for today's target farming MF routes, you can get away with having horrible resistance, so it's not a huge deal. You'll notice that I am level 94, but I only invested enough attribute points as if I was level 74. So we're simulating a dirt cheap level 74 budget Blizzard sorceress. And then the skill tree is also very straightforward. For the fire skill tree, I have 1 hard point into warmth. You'll notice I have 4 points total. That's because I have a lot less plus skill gear than I did in last week's video. For the lightning skill tree, I have 1 hard point into static, 1 hard point into teleport, and 1 hard point into telekinesis. And then for the cold skill tree, I have 1 into frozen armor, and then I have 1 into all the prerequisites to unlock Blizzard, completely maxed out Blizzard, and then I put 17 points into cold mastery, and then all of my remaining points I had after that, I just pumped into the synergies, so Ice Blast and Glacial Spike. So I have just about 2,500 Blizzard damage at level 74 with a level 24 Blizzard. So again, very budget stuff. So for a budget Blizzard MF sorceress, the gear really doesn't get any lower class than this. So starting off with the weapon, I have Spirit in a crystal sword. This one is only a 28 FCR Spirit. 35 is ideal. It lets you get that 63 FCR breakpoint a little bit easier, but kind of sticking with the very budget theme, 28 FCR Spirit. Then for the body armor, I have a 4 open socket, 4 perfect topaz armor. This is really nice for stacking some additional magic find against Mephisto. If you plan on doing sort of cow running or ancient tunnels, kind of progressing past that very basic gear, I would probably suggest something like this. Smoke, Neff, and Lum. You could also use stealth too, but I think the 50 all res is a little bit better when you're transitioning into hell difficulty. Again, that is sort of up to debate though. Some people like using stealth. Eventually getting something like Viper Magi to replace everything, but kind of sticking with the theme of very budget, I thought Smoke was a good choice. For the helmet, I have the Rumored Lore, Ort and Soul for $1 skills, 10 energy, and 30 lightning res. If you plan on solely Motricking Mephisto and want to sacrifice a little bit of damage, energy, and lightning res, you could throw on a 3 perfect Topaz helm. This is a really good way of stacking some additional MF, 72 with the helmet, and 96 with the body armor. Just a really cheap way of getting some extra MF. I personally like to use Lore, just for the extra energy and lightning res for Mephisto. Again, that's up to you though. For the amulet, this is just the very first crafted caster amulet that I made. 10 FCR, 11 fire res, 4 to life, and 11% MF. The shield is the Rumored Rhyme. Shale and Eth, this is a very solid shield early on. You have mana regeneration, 25 all res, and 25 MF. Just very solid choice. For the rings, I have 2 FCR rings. These have lightning res and fire res on them. Just a random garbage belt that I vendored from one of the NPCs just so that I get 4 slots for my potion belt. Then I have a pair of crafted gloves. These are actually pretty cool to make early on for sorceress. Ideally, like you want mage fists or trangs, but until you get to that point, crafted caster gloves are really good. Mana after kill, mana regeneration, you can roll mana roll and other stuff like fire res on this pair. So very solid gloves to use. And then these boots are imbued from Charcy. So if you're picking up white boots in normal Act 1, or Nightmare, or Hell, or whatever, if you want to waste an imbue quest, you can get something like this that has 18% MF and 10% fire res. So I think It's just a good way of getting something for just doing the Malice quest. It's up to you again though, you don't have to do it. Then on the offhand, I have a magic wand that is shopped from a vendor that gives me a lower resistance charge. This will give me a little bit extra damage against Mephisto. This is optional too. I really like doing this. Some community members kind of poke fun at me using lower res wand, but it is a nice way to add some additional damage. And then for the inventory, I have different assorted, just low-level garbage charms, a little bit of lightning res, a little bit of plus life, a little bit of fire res, poison res, etc. Just to really try and simulate a very budget sorceress build. For my mercenary, this is an Act 2 Nightmare offensive mercenary for a little bit extra damage. And the gear is Treachery. This is in a non-ethereal mage plate, so we're talking like a Lemrune, so it's still very, very budget. You could throw smoke on your mercenary and not use Treachery if you think a Lemrune is too expensive early on, but I'm still kind of teetering on the fact that that's within budget. For the helmet, this is an Istid Telrash's mask. Ignore the Istrun. I don't have a plain Telrash's mask currently. So this is a very budget, solid helmet that gives the mercenary some life, res, and then dual leech. Well, mostly just life leech. He doesn't use mana leech. And then I have Insight rolled in a non-eth poleaxe. I was lucky enough to get a 17 meditation aura, so he is just a stat stick. He gives me meditation aura so that I can recover mana. Now, important point to note here, this is again in my personal opinion, I don't recommend using a mercenary for moat tricking Mephisto. Even though the meditation aura is nice, he will aggro the council more than you want, so instead of like having Mephisto on the other side of the moat and you're doing your thing, taking him out, he's going to just pull in the Trav council members and they're just going to shoot hydras on you and it's going to make your life a pain in the butt. But I do think that this very budget mercenary early on is really good for farming cows in ancient tunnels, which I will talk a little bit more about when I go over the MF route portion of this video. So the first location that I'm going to recommend you start magic finding is Hell difficulty Mephisto. Don't really worry about anything in Nightmare, just get through Nightmare as quickly as you can and then skip everything that's cold immune in Act 1 and Act 2. Just teleport, buy everything, do the essential quest to unlock the next consecutive act, and get to Act 3 Hell Mephisto as quickly as you can. You may run into the odd combination of monsters that you might die to, or you have to reset or whatever. That's fine, just get to Hell Mephisto as quickly as you can, because in my opinion, he's the easiest to map find and can drop a lot of the essential items that you're going to want to use, like Shaco, Mara's, Scalder's, Arachnid's Mesh, Magefish, Trangs, Viper Magi, Nagel Rings, SOJs, War Traveler Boots. Anything that is going to help get your character off the ground, Mephisto can drop. So because it's the first location that I would recommend magic finding, I'm going to show off a couple example runs and how easily you can actually kill Mephisto with just some very, very basic gear. So let me just fill up all my pots here. Now this is single player, so the map is already going to be discovered. But I talked about this in the previous video that at the Durance Height level 2, when you exit the tile block, if you just teleport to the left of the character, this map is clearly already discovered. But if you just keep winging around to the left, it will eventually lead you to the Durance Height level 3. Just do that. The map's going to be different every time when you're playing Diablo 2 Resurrected or Battle.net servers. But get to level 3. Then we're going to aggro Mephisto. Just pull him to the other side. Switch to the offhand. Cast low resistance. Then we go back to the main hand. And we just alternate back and forth between Ice, Blast, and Blizzard. And mana potting. So that is how you are going to kill Mephisto with some very, very budget gear. And then just pick up everything that drops. Go to Act 4. And then if you just identify and sell everything that Mephisto just dropped, that should give you enough gold to rebuy all your mana potions, and then you can just continue that cycle. It should be self-sustaining. Now, again, the only difference here to Battle.net is just the map is discovered. The map always stays the same unless I change the difficulty. It'll just be the same thing. You're going to teleport to the left of the waypoint. Make your way to Mephisto. And we'll lure him one more time. So offhand, lower resistance. And then main hand, Ice Blast and Blizzard again. He's dead. Pick up everything that drops, or everything that you can. And again, go to Act 4. Sell everything, buy back your mana potions, and this should, again, continue to be a kind of self-sustaining cycle. And you're going to continue to do this over and over and over again until you get your Maras, your Rected's Mesh, your Shaco, your Skulders, whatever jewelry you want, Mage Fist for your gloves, potentially an Aussie, Viper Magi, etc. And that's how you're going to sort of get yourself off the ground with a lot of the required uniques to go from being mediocre to a somewhat decently geared character. Now, assuming that you've collected a lot of your base gear, the next suggestion or target location I have for you is the secret cow level. I would recommend farming this area to try and get some desirable bases to make your character a little bit stronger. So looking for a white monarch, that's a really good base to make the Rumored Spirit and a shield, and then trying to find a really nice ethereal elite 4 open socket polearm to roll the Rumored Insight in so your mercenary can do a little bit more damage. That would be my two priorities at this point, and then also trying to get an Ohm Rune to try and make the rune word CTA. A lot of people don't agree with me, but I think that the number one rune word you should be trying to make is CTA after you have a lot of the basics. So keep your Spirit and a Crystal Sword, and then try and make CTA next. That additional plus life and mana value is going to be so much more desirable to you than the extra little bit of damage you're going to get from Hodo. Because if you... Hodo is one extra skill compared to Spirit. It's a little bit more FCR, but you should be prioritizing CTA first. But the only difference between this setup and the previous Mephisto setup is that I now have a Mercenary with, again, Treachery, the Garbage Insight, and Tarash's Mask. Now, one thing that you'll have to kind of watch in the Secret Cow level, it's easy for your Mercenary to get overwhelmed, so I would recommend constantly using Teleport to reposition him so he doesn't die. Now, I'm not going to do a full cow level, but by this point, the Meditation Aura from Insight should be sustaining the mana enough that we don't really need to constantly mana pot. So again, we're taking kind of a step forward in the progression of what we're looking for and gearing our character up. So you're going to get all kinds of goodies here, jewels and stuff, full rejuves instead of using regular pots. So you can build up on those. And again, just making sure that you constantly reposition your Mercenary, because he will die if he gets overwhelmed. But if you don't even have Treachery, any sort of general body armor will work. As long as you pull the Mercenary away so he doesn't get overwhelmed, you should just be able to do this and then get a lot of those bases and then make those rune words that I suggested, like CTA and Spirit and a Monarch Shield. So at this point, we should have a lot of the basic gear that would build our character up, like Shaco, better bases, potentially CTA hopefully. And then at that point, I would suggest for the third location to start target farming in the Ancient Tunnels. So the key thing about this area is that it's a level 85 area, meaning any item in the game can drop here. There's also hardly any cold immune. So with some, a little bit better gear, this would be the next location that I suggest farming. That is mostly solo self-found. Again, if you're playing with groups at this point, you could probably be doing Cast Sanctuary or Bell Running, etc. I just want to show a little bit of an example run of the Ancient Tunnels. Now, the only thing is you really want to take your time here, because if you don't have a CTA, Mercenary can die quickly from poison damage. But this is, again, just the same basic gear from the cow run, except I swapped out my body armor to have the rumored smoke, so I don't have completely horrible resistance. So I still don't have a CTA. So we're just kind of farming a pretty decent location with, again, still very, very, very budget gear. But you're probably going to do a lot better if you can roll a CTA at this point. So again, just take your time. You don't really want to like telestomp and bombed or telestomp any hacks really. Just keep your distance. Drop your blizzard, and again, like similar to cows, you shouldn't really have too much of a mana issue because of that meditation aura. But again, the purpose behind this video is to just really show like that with some very, very basic gear, we can still MF some of these locations. And then again, you're always picking up all the charms that drop. So if you get a Geed's Grand Charm, better plus life, better resistance charms. Anything that's gonna like slowly improve and make your character stronger. But a lot of the crazy items like Death's Fathom, etc., they can all drop from this location. So we're taking our time. We're not really doing like sub 1 minute ancient tunnel runs, but with super, super basic gear. This is level 75, so I'm not really struggling, right? We're taking our time. But yeah, this is where I would suggest to be the final location to Magic Find to try and really build your character up. Well guys, there you have it. That wraps up today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and this video helps give you guys a little bit of a blueprint on how to sort of develop your magic finding Blizzard Sorceress with very budget gear and kind of how to direct yourselves to making those very desirable characters for the Diablo 2 Resurrected ladder. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, let me know in the comment section below if you guys agree or disagree with anything or would suggest any other changes. But other than that, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, if you guys could throw a like on it, share it, and even consider subscribing if you're new to my channel. I post new weekly content on YouTube, and I do stream it twice a week on Twitch. So any follows on Twitch or subs on YouTube would be amazing. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a fan-frickin-tastic day, and I'll catch you on my next video or live stream. Peace out.